Hey there, Georgie here with Ukraine Matters. So, Ukrainian parliament just voted in the law that basically dismisses the National Anti-Corruption Bureau. And everyone is talking about it, talking that Zelensky is becoming a dictator, he is dismissing democracy, he is dismissing transparency, stopping the Ukrainian integration towards the European Union. And obviously, this is a bit untrue, to say the least. But I'm pretty sure everyone is confused. I am a little bit confused, but I also have a little bit more context to the thing. So the first thing that we need to understand is what is Naboo and what it's supposed to do. Naboo was the anti-corruption agency that was created earlier in Ukraine, and it was supposed to be this independent agency that looks on the corruption in the highest circles of power in Ukraine and tries to stop it and be this nice and amazing organization that brings transparency to the country and establishes this new type of governance that is going to lead Ukraine towards more prosperous future. The organization has existed, if I'm not wrong, for like 12 years or something. Like, it's been quite a while the organization has existed. And while it is good that it exists because, well, it's good that there is an anti-corruption agency, there has been certain issues with that agency. The more specific issues that, for example, the proponents of Naboo will state that issues with this new law that's been passed by Zelensky is that this law is basically dismisses Naboo and it restructures it in a way that it is completely subject to the prosecutor general, if I'm not wrong. You can correct me under the comment section. Again, I'm talking about this video from the top of my head, so I don't have all of the facts in front of me. So subjecting this organization under the, it's not prosecutor general, it's the attorney general. Under the attorney general basically removes the independence of the governing body and sort of defeats the purpose of the independent verified governance body. The problem of the people that pushed the legislation together and stated that we should kind of restructure Naboo is twofold. Firstly, it has not been very efficient. Like, the results that Naboo has been producing were, to say the least, lackluster. They were pretty much non-existent, to say the least. The organization was an absolute hog of money, and essentially the amount of corruption cases they uncovered were pitiful. It was basically a drop in a bucket. And you don't need to trust me. You can trust any sources that ever critique Ukraine about the corruption inside of the top ranks of Ukraine. Even now, when we see the Ukraine corruption index improve, that corruption index mostly is improving in the common corruption, what the policemen are ready to take, how much pressure there is on business, stuff like that. But the top rank corruption that this agency Naboo seems to supposed to tackle is still unreally tackled. So what the fuck are you doing then? And second one was the recent scandals that basically Naboo has turned itself to be not a transparent organization that tries to fight for transparency and tries to fight against the corruption in the higher echelons of power. Instead, it became an insanely secretive organization. It became a completely intransparent organization that is abiding by no one rules, that is completely supposedly independent and just hogs money, and recently discovered that it was heavily infiltrated by the Russian FSB agents. So it was working against the Ukrainian government, and there were specific schemes that was executed under the guise and secrecy of Naboo that is there to harm the Ukraine state. So, long story short, is it bad that Naboo is going to be now subject to the Attorney General? Yes, this is not something I would like. I would still want there would be a completely independent anti-corruption body. However, believing that this is Zelensky turning in a complete authoritarian regime, well, firstly, Ukraine is a free country. There is no such a free country at a full-scale war like Ukraine. Like the amount of freedoms that Ukraine is restricting is minimal, and the fact that we're even having this discussion about what Zelensky does and doesn't do is already showing how free Ukraine is. Ukraine has the full right during the wartime to become basically as authoritarian as it wants. It's just normal. Like, I want this word to sink in. This is normal. During wartime, very often countries are benefiting from more rigid structure of power. Secondly, with regard to the European integration, there is no president in Ukraine history that did more to get Ukraine to become more European integrated than President Zelensky. So unless suddenly we have a sharp departure and President Zelensky goes, where does they go? Like, if beforehand the critique was that it will go towards Russia, then now, if he's going to supposedly, as a lot of people are critiquing, sabotaging the journey towards European integration, well, my dudes, sabotaging exactly for what? European integration is given for Ukraine. So there will be pressure for the European parties and allies to go follow the European path. What will there not be is some kind of a European dictate. There will be a way for Ukraine to go forward. But first and foremost, the goal of Ukraine is, let's be very clear, win the war. So if there is an intransparent organization that chugs on the government money and is infiltrated by the FSB agents, I, to be honest, see not that much issues with it being now restructured. As for the European integration, it is possible, it is doable, it should be done, and definitely some of the anti-corruption things should be approached as Ukraine finishes the war and transition into the peace economy towards integrating with the European Union. I hope this was helpful, so please treat your information more critically, even what I said just now. Look up your data, read the comments, read how much of a dipshit I is. Trust in Ukrainian armed forces, support Ukraine. I love you. Slava Ukraini, and I will see you next time.